Welcome to the Feminine Force Field with Carolyn and Lisa, a safe place for mums. Thanks for joining us once again. And our topic for this evening is when you're facing something big coming up, because personally, I have some big events coming up. And we were sharing about this, Carolyn and I, and thinking about when you've got these events in your life, and it doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes when you're about to do something that's really important to you, or there might be some challenge that you have to get through. And it could even be, like having a baby. Like that is a thing that's like, you've got to birth this baby, right? But you also know what's involved in that, especially if you've had one before. And it's like, how do we find the courage? Like, how do we actually deal with all the feelings that come up for us when we have this thing that is impending, and we can feel all the fear and apprehension and insecurity come up in our body? And that's what I'm going to ask Carolyn about today. So, Carolyn, how do you feel about that?
Hi, Lisa. Hi, everyone. Lovely to have your company here again. Yeah, what an amazing question. And I think it's coming up for both of us actually in our real life also. And it's funny you said about having a baby as well, because I was thinking about that too. I was thinking about the first time I had my first child, and I didn't really know what I was going into. So I didn't really mind so much. Well, I didn't. I was scared. The second child, I was really scared because I knew what was coming, that kind of way.
Yeah.
And it was like put your hand, willingly into a candle flame, and it was like, oh my God. And, and it is that fear, like what came up for me yesterday, I was thinking about, even you with your talks, or any of us, like when we want to do something, but you have this terror that comes over us.
Yeah.
Because it's like as if when you're coming up against your deepest desire, something that you've always wanted, it always also brings up in parallel your deepest fear, that always surfaces at the same time. So it's like this impending feeling, and it brings up so much anxiety and fear and everything. And it's just like, I want it, but I'm terrified of it as well. You know, the kind of way of what I have to go through. So it's just really what's happening is like it's those thoughts and the fear in our body and the emotions that are very kind of, it's an overwhelming feeling. And it's like, how do we get past that? And the only word I was thinking it's kind of a state of surrender that you need to get to trusting, but that actually the word that I would use is faith. We don't use that word very often nowadays, but really you have to have faith that everything's going to be okay, and that it's all going to turn out the way you want it, and this is something that you really want. So you have to trust that you're going to be okay, because there's that fear of you're not like that safety thing again that we keep talking about, like, not feeling safe, going into the unknown, going into like you don't know yourself doing this, even though you want to do it, you've never done it before. So it feels, you're going out of your comfort zone, But I think like a baby is a great analogy, because like, look what you're going to get at the other side,
Yeah.
You're going to get, and I think all women, one thing I remember when my daughter was born, like it was just, a very difficult labor or whatever. But the minute, and my mother used to tell me this as well, so the minute you lay your eyes on the child, all that pain just disappears, and the love just comes in, and it's this absolute flood of absolute love. And, it's like I thought I was after winning the lottery. I just thought I was after, I did have
an incredible feeling.
Nothing would compare to the what you get at the other side of it, if you have the faith and trust to put yourself into that situation that is very scary and in the unknown, whatever. But if you can get yourself to the other side of that, I think the payback is just so massive, and it's worth it. You know, it's like as if I think in different situations, I mean, when the big decisions have to be made, I kind of sometimes think like you have to see it like, do the costs outweigh the benefits? You know, what's the cost of not doing it versus the cost of doing it? You know, so if you're going to get so much more from doing it, and then what's going to happen to you if you don't do it?
That's what I think. I always think that. I think like if
Yeah.
I don't do it, like, because that is such a deterrent, you know. But I think what I've been experiencing is once upon a time I would just have shut down all those feelings, like, and just driven through, you know, like just gone, that's what I'm doing, and just driven through and totally numbed myself out to the feeling, you know. And maybe that's a good way to go, but I'm trying not to be as much like that. So I'm trying to really allow all my feelings to be there, you know, like everything that's coming up for me. And sometimes that can be so overwhelming, you know, you can feel a whole lot of, you know, chaos actually,
Yeah.
and stress, and, you know, and all of those things. And I think the mind tries to work things out and move through it quicker and get rid of it. But it's almost like we don't have to do anything. All we have to do is just allow that feeling to be there. And that's what I've been exploring, which is very different to how I used to deal with things. You know,
Yeah, and
it's like,
I think actually, I'm just feeling for myself like that. It's like as if it's a softening of the body instead of clenching of the body. Like,
yes, yeah,
you know, how can you soften? You know the way in yoga you do that. You roll your shoulders back. You know, you're going to soften your body, and it's like the impact won't be as much. Where you
yeah,
tighten things in and hold your emotions in and fist it up, kind of thing, you're a lot more dense and it hits you much harder because you're harder. But it's like if you soften yourself and what you do in the labor ward, you breathe, you know, back to your
yeah,
breath, go back to your breathing and breathe through the big emotions, you know, because like they can be very overwhelming, you know, all these big emotions. But if you bring yourself, back to your home, back to that sense of yourself and like that safety that you have, and kind of soften yourself down, then you find you get into that ease, you know, that ease and grace. And you say like, I just moved through this step by step, and you know, it'll just happen. Like everything comes and goes, as they say. I would say like that, you know, the good and the bad, always time looks after it, you know, time keeps ticking. So like it'll it,
so
it'll
true.
it'll unfold the way it's supposed to unfold, you know. And it's the clenching up, it's trying to control it, you know, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, it is like the holding on, isn't it? It's like that for me. Like I often, I'm always visualizing, like I'm allowing what I feel to be there, but also visualizing the myself after, like the next moment after that thing, you know, and the sense of like great satisfaction and fulfillment and ease and joy and
Yeah.
relief, you know.
Yeah.
So rather
Yeah.
than focusing on the little bit between here and there, which is like, oh, that's a scary place, you know, it's like, okay, I'm just going to see all of that as just, you know. And I had this overwhelming feeling the other day. I shared it with you when I was just in the kitchen and just had this feeling of like, I have everything that I need to do what I need to do. I have everything that I need. And like each of us has everything that we need
Yeah.
to be able to do what we need to do right here and now. And it's like just trusting that,
Yeah.
you know, it really is a very different way of
Yeah.
trying not to get into the head and putting the story and the narrative on it, but just like feeling the feelings and staying in that heart space of it's all good. It's all good. We've got everything we need.
Yeah, because you're coming into presence, you know, when you come into presence again, that's where the love is. That's where you access your joy. That's where you access all those beautiful, and that's like it's like the warm water, and that softens you down, softens your body. It's like getting into a warm bath. You know, you can feel that when you become present. So really, when you're very anxious and worried and scared like that, the best thing is to do like a candle, or, you know, to really try and come into presence, whatever you use to become present. The more you become present, the more you can feel your emotions exactly where you are and what you're feeling, and allow that to be, and then they just move through you, and then you can kind of, you get into that state of acceptance and faith and trust, and you know that you're held. It's like you're held, because it's like the third dimension we always talk about in life. Like there is that loving presence that's always with us, you know, that's always with us. We're never alone, you know, that's always around us, and it's always guiding us, and it's always keeping us safe, and it's always there with us. So I think it's the feeling that you're on your own, and you're doing it on your own, and so it's like, even, I suppose, reaching out to other people around you for support as well, like talking to people and sharing your emotions, how you're feeling, honestly, like that's a huge de-stressor. Like, it's massive just to share that, isn't it? Just to talk it out with a friend.
Oh,
yeah, it just makes a huge difference, you know.
Yeah, that's so true. And that coming into that, like, the more I sit with my feelings, the more I can feel that, like, there's an inner power that I start to feel, and I can't feel that if I'm really busy in my head getting stressed or, you know, freaking out about stuff. I can't. It's almost like I'm separating myself from myself.
Yeah.
And so I'm not feeling good. I'm not feeling at ease. You know, so that is the practice, right? It's the practice.
Yeah, that's it. Coming home all the time, keep coming back home. Yeah, that's it. That's amazing.
So juicy. Well, another juicy discussion from us tonight.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say as well that I won't be around for a little while, that I'm going to be taking some family time. I have a few family issues that I have to look after and need my attention. So we have the amazing Alison Canavan is going to be taking my place for a while with Lisa, and their first interview is on Wednesday night. Isn't that right, Lisa?
Yes, that's right. We've got Dr. Sherry coming on this Wednesday night and talking about toxic families and how that can impact us, and how mothers and daughters can create a beautiful bond, even if you have a backstory that might be like that. And then we're hoping the next week to talk about the psychology of men, which will be very interesting. So we've got some juicy conversations coming up in the next couple of weeks, but we will miss you, Carolyn.
Oh, thanks very much, Lisa. But I'll be watching, and Alison is amazing. So I'm sure she's going to bring her own sparkle and flair and flavor to the feminine force. So yeah, I wish you all the very best, and I'll be back before you know it.
Yeah, before you know it. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss these conversations, and our social media channels. And I hope to see you at the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival if you're in Sydney, 26th to the 29th of May. I'll be there talking every day. And so that would be nice to drop in and say hello to me.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone, for watching.
Bye. See you all soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.